The video you're about to see is about a toilet. This lady called me all panic that she wanted me to go and replace the wax and take the toilet out and all that stuff, but perhaps buying a new toilet because there was a lot of water coming from the bottom. So when I got there and after a very simple test, I noticed that the water leak, it was not from the bottom after all. And believe me, it's very easy to get confused. But if you want to find out where the leak was, just to continue watching this video. And if you like it or if you find this video useful, please don't forget to subscribe down there and turn the bell, because the next video I'm gonna do, it's gonna be epic. So please follow my and myself, and let's get the repair. Come on, man, let's do it. Hello guys, welcome to another edition of this do-it-yourselfers channel. So you got a leaking toilet. As you can see, there's a lot of water on the bottom, and the first thing that one can imagine is that it is leaking from the wax ring. However, that's not the case all the time. Now, to test that, what we can do is flush the toilet quite a few times. Not just one, but a couple of times, and observe the edges. And you should see a flow of water gonna come on the other side. You should see a flow of water. But if you don't, that means that the water might be coming somewhere else. Twice, and I don't see any water. So the next thing to do is put your hand on the valves and see if you can feel it wet on the valve and on the bottom screws. Now here. Okay, I notice and I can touch the screw and it's wet. So that only means that it is either for the screws holding the tank or the main gasket, and it's usually the bolt gaskets. I'm gonna open this up and we're gonna look inside. Sometimes you can just retighten the bolts and it's done, but on this case I can see that the gasket, it's already smashed. I don't think it'll work, so it needs to be replaced. So let's go ahead and replace the gaskets. The first thing to do, as usual, is just to turn off the water valve and then flush it so that we can try to get as much as water you can from the tank, because we're going to be removing the bolts, so a lot of water is going to come out. And then we're going to unscrew. A little bit of water is going to come out. However, you can put a little container on the bottom. This is tile floor. I'm not going to worry too much. I just have towels ready. Alright, so we disconnect that. Now we're going to unscrew the bolts. Okay? But before doing that, I'm going to try to get the rest of the water as much as I can with a little plastic disposable glass, so that way we don't throw that much water into the floor, especially if you have tile, or if you have a wooden tile or plastic or something that it may get damaged. So we're gonna try to get as much as water possible from the tank, okay? All right, so now that you got all the water out, the next step is to remove the bolts. A big screwdriver will be very helpful for this. You have a lot more grip, and all you have to do is just unscrew it. Of course, once it's loose, you may have to hold the bottom nut with pliers or your hand, whatever, and remove the bolt. You see how the gasket, it came apart? I'll show you. See, it's gone. It was already so tight, or somebody tried to tighten it more, that it got to the point that it just broke. Alright, so if you notice, I'm holding the bottom with my bare hand. It's not that tight once it's loose. Oops, sorry about that. And from the top, I'm just using the screwdriver. And we gonna go ahead and remove both. Alright, so I'll come back to you. Alright, so I got both bolts disconnected and remove the bolts out. Now, I told you to remove the bottom hose because I usually have the habit to remove the tank and take the opportunity to wash it out. If you don't have to clean it, you don't have to disconnect it. In my case, I will disconnect it, and I'm gonna clean the inside with a water hose so that way it can be clean. It is very important that down there where you can see, it is very important that it's clean, because the gasket, that's where the gasket is gonna be sitting on, and if there is debris, well, it will not make a good tight seal. All right. So in this case, I'm gonna remove the tank. All I have to do is just push it out. I'm gonna go and clean it with a water hose, and I'll come back to you, all right, once I clean it. And as you can see, the tank comes out real easy like that, all right? And I'm gonna take it to go and wash. And now I'm also gonna clean the bottom there, now that it's off. And once it's clean, I'm gonna come back to you, okay? All right, so it's time to put it back on place. Make sure the gasket on the bottom, it's making a good seal. All right. Now for this, I bought me this kit. There is plenty of kits out there. Just grab whatever the one you like the most. So I'm gonna open them up. And this is what I got for the kit. 2 bolts, 4 nuts, 4 metal washers, and 4 plastic gaskets. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab 1 bolt and put a gasket through there. Do not use a metal washer for this step. All right, then we're gonna stick it in. All right, make sure it sits good, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna grab the gasket, insert it on the bolt, and we're gonna go ahead and put it on the other side, which is right in there. Now from the bottom, what I want you to do is grab 1 metal, 1 plastic. All right, so for the next step, we're gonna grab 1 nut and 1 washer. Now, Some of the kits, they're designed so that way you can put a bolt, a nut in between the tank. But I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that because it might interfere with the porcelain once you're tightening it. It might crack, it might break. So all you have to do is just grab and obviously put it on the bottom, the washer, metal washer, and then the nut. Okay, and we're basically going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay. We're putting the washer and the nut. Kind of hard for me right now because I'm doing it with one hand, but you see what I'm talking about. Okay, once you have it in there, all you have to do is tighten it. You can grab the bottom bolt with your hands and it will still get tight up to some point. And if that keeps turning, well, you're gonna have to grab some pliers to tighten them up. I just put it in my hand. Okay, so what I'm doing is that I'm holding the nut on the bottom from with pliers and put the extra final tight on the top. Do not try to over tighten it. That's what the gasket is for, so that way you don't have to completely over tighten it. Just tight enough, and you feel that it's tight enough, just leave it alone. You might break the porcelain. So now I'm gonna put the valve back on. Back in place for just a second. It's right here. Remember that if you are not planning and taking the tank off to clean it, you don't have to disconnect this. It will save you time. But I always take the opportunity that it's off. Now you can tie this by hand. It has a gasket, and just grab a little towel. You don't need pliers to tighten that. You can over tighten it. And we're gonna turn on the water valve. We're gonna let it fill. Even though I clean it after I throw water, there's some debris down there. That's why I like to do it, but anyway. And once we've done that, it's over. You gotta make sure there is no leaks on the bolts. You can put your hand again, and if it feels dry, you did a good job. Same on the other side. Grab it with your hand. And I don't feel any leaks. Look in between the tank and the toilet. And that's it. This is pretty much how you change those two bolts. It's real simple. Now all we have to do is clean the excess of water that we have on the floor, towels, and flush the toilet a couple of times, and make sure we don't have any leaks, and we're ready to go. Okay. Now, since there was water, already under the toilet. It may look like if it's leaking water, but it's not. And the way you're gonna find out is by flushing it a couple of times. And if you see any movement of water, that means that you have a good seal tight with wax. And the problem, it was right here, and it's been solved. No more leaks, and we finished the job. We're gonna put the cover back on. And the work is complete. We solved the leak problem on the toilet. Alright guys, see you on the next video. And please don't forget to subscribe. Okay? Alright guys, so the job is done. Please don't forget to subscribe, okay? Down there, subscribe, and see you in another edition of this Do-It-Yourselfer channel. Thank you guys.